Chapter 6 of Nicholas, a Manhattan Christmas Story by Carroll Moore. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. To Washington Square. The moon was looking out over the clock tower on the Jefferson Market Courthouse straight into Patchen Place when Anne Carraway walked in with the two boys.
I love to stand under the old street lamp at the far end and pretend I'm in London,
said she.
Wouldn't you both like to try it while I choose some Christmas wreaths at the little flower shop on the corner?
Over the unbroken snow of Patchen Place ran Nicholas in his wooden shoes, never stopping until he stood under the old gas lamp at the far end.
I've never been in London, John Moon, but it does look like pictures I've seen,
he said. Anne Carraway was waiting for them at the door of the flower shop under its painted sign of a basket of flowers. She had chosen a soft pine wreath with cones on it and two smaller ones of red partridge berries.
There are lovely holly boughs outside the other little flower shop. Please pick out some branches with lots of berries, John Moon,
she said, and vanished from sight.
Where are you, Anne Carraway?
Called Nicholas. No answer.
She didn't go into the flower shop, John Moon. Where can she be? Anne Carraway, Anne Carraway,
he called again, and this time he called louder, for a 6th Avenue elevated train was thundering by.
Lift up the latch and walk in, Nicholas,
a merry voice called back, and to his utter amazement, Nicholas beheld a green wooden gate close beside the flower shop. Lifting the latch very cautiously, he stepped from the sidewalk into a snowy courtyard. It was dark and mysterious.
If Hans Andersen had ever lived in New York, I'm sure he would have lived in Milligan Place,
said Anne Carraway, who was standing under the old street lamp by the side wall, watching the doorways of 3 old houses on the other side of the courtyard.
The landlord fills that old urn with flowers for the Greenwich fairies every spring,
she said.
And I know that people live in the 3 old houses, but whenever I look in here, I see only the cats of Milligan Place.
Just then, John Moon stepped through the green gate with an armful of holly boughs.
Once upon a time,
he began.
There isn't time for a story, John Moon,
said Anne Carraway.
We've still all the presents to buy, remember?
Let's begin at Ugabono's.
In one of the 2 windows of Ugabono's pastry shop, there was a wonderful thin cake watch with a chocolate stem winder, pink and white dots for the minutes, and vanilla hands. Back of the watch was a heap of round loaves of panettone with raisins and citron sticking out of their sides and burnt almonds on top. A fluted icing basket of meringue mushrooms stood on one side, and a pan of matron's glace in pink and white paper cases on the other. In the other window were the most fascinating tin boxes and glass bottles swinging from basket hangers. They quickly filled a box with almond cakes and macaroons, panettone and marrons, and Nicholas bought a big tin box with 24 little packages of nougat inside, each with a different picture of Italy on the wrapper. When they came out of Ugabono's, they walked along 8th Street, looking into the windows of fruit shops and markets with Christmas trees beside their doors, until they heard the carol singers singing to the artists who live in the old stables in MacDougall Alley. Candles burned in the stable windows, and through an open doorway a Christmas fire sent its light across the snow.
Let's follow on out into Washington Square,
suggested John Moon.
Some of the people who kept their horses in the stables of MacDougall Alley still live in the beautiful old red houses on the north side,
said Anne Carraway as they passed out into the great square which lay white and glistening in the moonlight.
It is a lovely place to live,
said Nicholas.
I'd like to look inside one of the old houses someday.
The windows of the tall apartment houses to the east and west were lighted also, and as the Christmas waits sang north and south, windows were raised and doors stood hospitably open. As the singers moved across the square on their way to Greenwich Village, John Moon suddenly exclaimed,
Here's our very own bus, Nicholas. Scramble up on top.
With a hand to Anne Carraway, they mounted the stairway to the top of a green bus and rode up past Washington Arch with its lighted Christmas trees, past the old Brevoort with holly wreaths in all the windows, and a gay company of Christmas guests streaming in and out of its wide white doorway.
"Where are we going now?"
asked Nicholas, and John Moon leaned across the holly boughs to whisper in his ear,
We are riding north in a St. Nicholas bus. Do you like little old New York, Nicholas?
"I love it,"
said Nicholas. End of chapter 6.